at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's Inside the Saga. Tonight, we welcome our guests from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Chief Creative Officer for ILM, John Knoll, and K2SO himself, Alan Tudyk. Please welcome your host for Inside the Saga, Vanessa Marshall.
Galactic Nights, I'm so glad you're all here. Are people screaming? Oh, now you are. Excellent. Well, yes, I'm Vanessa Marshall. I play Hera on Star Wars Rebels. Do we have some Star Wars Rebels fans out there? Awesome. All right, why don't we take a look at a little clip of Hera? Now, tonight's show is all about Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And you might be asking yourselves, Vanessa, why would she host a show on Rogue One, A Star Wars Story? I mean, was she even in it? Well, yes, that's right, I actually was. Why don't we take a look at this clip?
Hit that opening. We see it, Gold Leader.
Ion torpedoes away. That's actually my voice. Ion torpedoes away. Right? Yay! And here's the really cool thing. I found out from Pablo Hidalgo that that character's name is Gold 9, otherwise known as Wona Goban. So she actually has a name. That's insane. Now, imagine my surprise when I was sitting in Rogue One and I heard the following. Watch this clip.
You don't look happy.
Thank you, Fat Surrender. Can you imagine? I lost my mind. I was sitting next to my best friend. I think I punched him first, he punched me, punch, and then we realized we were in a movie theater, we probably should stop doing this. So I apologize to anyone who was in that screening. But I was so honored, and yeah, I pretty much fangirl flailed hard. As you can imagine. Well, again, I'm so excited to be your host tonight, especially with our guests. We have visual effects wizard, John Knoll, and of course, K2SO himself, Alan Tudyk, with us tonight. I'm so honored. I never would have thought, watching my first Star Wars movie as a kid, that I would be someday standing in a theater with a bunch of Star Wars fans, just like myself, hosting a show all about Star Wars. So I just want to say I'm in good hands because Star Wars fans are the best and I love you guys. So, why don't we get this show started? My first guest, he started his career at ILM and he has not stopped since. So why don't we watch this clip? Gentlemen, please welcome Chief Creative Officer for Industrial Light and Magic, John Knoll. Welcome. So good to see you. Well, how are you enjoying Celebration? How's it going so far?
Great. Boy, the energy is fantastic.
Isn't it great at Star Wars fans? Yes. Have you seen anything crazy while you've been here? What's the craziest thing you've seen?
The craziest thing, I was walking the floor today and I saw a number of K2SO motion capture outfit costumes. There were sort of 3.5 of them.
So not the droid, but the actual mocap.
Alan Tudyk in his motion capture suit.
Wow.
Costumes.
That's meta. that's pretty amazing.
Really good. Just a clever idea.
Well, so can you regale us, please? Tell us the story of how you initially connected with ILM. This is such a great story.
It's pretty shameless too, I'll admit.
We're glad you did it.
Well, I was a kid who grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're far away from, Wolverines, yeah. So I grew up pretty far away from the film industry, but it was something I was very interested in. I kind of tinkered as a hobby, doing little clay animation films, building models, and still photography. But I wasn't really seriously thinking about that as a career until Star Wars came out. And suddenly there's all this exciting new work being done.
Sure.
Very imaginative and ambitious films to depict crazy things because of the new tools that have been developed to do Star Wars. And about a year after Star Wars came out, so this is in May of 1978, my dad had a Society of Nuclear Medicine conference in Anaheim, and he brought my brothers and I along with him. It was the first time I'd been to California. And I was sitting in the hotel room, and I don't know what came over me, but I picked up the phone book there, and
Oh, wait, hold on. A phone book. Most of you may not know what that is. So we can explain a phone book?
It's a little piece of Google that gets printed out.
So the internet was once on paper.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, go on. Sorry.
So I looked to see if there was a listing for Industrial Light and Magic Hall, and there was. And again, I don't know what came over me, but I called the number, and I got a hold of Brent McCune, who's head of the model shop. And I said, I was a model maker and I was interested in working in the film industry. I was 15 years old, but I guess he didn't know that. I said, well, why don't you come on down and we'll show you around. And so next morning, my dad drove me from Anaheim up to Van Nuys, dropped me off. It was about 8:30 in the morning. And he went off to his conference, and he came and he picked me up at, it was like 4:30 in the afternoon. So I spent a whole day at ILM. So I went to dailies in the morning and saw them building models in the model shop and then shooting them on the stage. And it was a life-changing experience. It sort of blew my mind. And, well, on one hand, you read about these things in a magazine, that's one thing, but to see it in person is a completely different experience. And I felt like, I could be one of these guys.
I'm so glad you did that. Honestly, aren't we? It's just those moments in your life when you just make one decision, you bravely try to do something, or shamelessly, as you said, it doesn't matter. But we're really glad that you did that.
Lack of impulse control, I think.
Was that similar to the choice to speak to Kathleen Kennedy about your idea?
Kind of, yeah.
Not shamelessly, but in the sense that it was a bit of a risk because it was an idea that was close to you. You didn't want to regret.
It was something I was just kind of tinkering with. I don't know if I was too serious about it. It was just I'd be out to lunch with my friends, and we inevitably, Kathy just announced this new slate of Star Wars films. And of course, 7, 8, 9, everybody expected those were going to be a continuation of Skywalker Saga. But what had a lot of us intrigued was that we were going to do these standalone stories that took place in the Star Wars universe, but weren't necessarily part of that through line. And we'd be talking about what some of these films could be, and I was kind of half jokingly pitching, picture this. Picture SEAL Team 6 in the Star Wars universe on a desperate mission to penetrate into the most secure facility in the Empire to steal the Death Star plans.
And this is the birth of Rogue One.
And these friends would hear that, and they, I kind of want to see that. And so just as a mental exercise, I started kind of working out some more detail about what the overall plot structure is, what the logic is, who the characters are, what some of the themes are. And so I told it a couple more times in a lot more detail, and finally I had done this fairly lengthy 20-minute version of it. And a friend of mine said, you have to pitch this to Kathy. You really do. And I realized as soon as he said that, I think he's right. I do have to pitch it, because if I don't, I don't always wonder what would have happened if I had. So I'm gonna do it.
And what kind of audience was Kathleen Kennedy when you ultimately spoke to her?
Well, I got 45 minutes with her, and it was Kathy and Carrie Hart, who's head of the story.
Sure.
And I sat down and I kind of went through what I sort of imagined the film was, what its genre was, or what the tone was meant to be, who the main characters were, and then I took them through the sort of 20, 25-minute version of the plot. And at the end of that, Kathy said, "Well, very good. I'm impressed. Thank you for doing that." I went, "Okay, well, thanks for listening to me." And I left, and I didn't hear anything for a little while. And I thought, all right, well, okay, I did it. I'm not going to wonder now what would happen. And about a week later, Curie sent me an email saying, we've been talking about this a lot, and I think we may want to proceed. And so then it sort of snowballed into what happened last year.
Well, we are so grateful that you did that, and thank you so much for coming and talking to us. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, our next guest. Now, we love this guy. I mean, come on now. He was both the voice as well as the performance of K2SO, and he's of course known for his roles in television and in film, and his animated characters galore. But why don't we take a look at this little bit from Rogue One?
One more time. Did you know that wasn't me?
Rogue One? There is no Rogue One.
Well, there is now. Quiet. And there's a fresh one if you now offer it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Tudyk!
Yes,
you're having fun at Celebration. Is this your first Star Wars event?
It's not.
No.
No. Well, we went to the Star Wars Celebration last year in London.
Okay. Wonderful.
To roll out Rogue One like they were rolling out that. I forget the name of it anyway. There's a number involved. Today. And so we were there, but we didn't get to go out on the floor or anything. We were kind of, right? We were just sort of kept.
Well, it was tricky that we had to do some interesting talks to provide some information to the folks that feel like they got an inside view, but no spoilers and no details. Do an hour-long talk and don't.
And there were some
give anything
spoilers.
away.
There were spoilers.
Have you seen these?
Remember that?
Have you seen these mocap versions of you? These wonderful cosplayers who are actually dressing up as you in mocap suit?
It's hysterical. Yes, I have. I was wondering how people were going to cosplay K2SO because he made his spindly legs and he's not. He
You don't
needed to
have
be.
visual effects
Yes.
available?
Exactly.
Yes.
Very, very thin neck.
Yeah, if somebody goes on that diet, really.
Yeah.
Need somebody to step in. So it's hysterical that now that the DVD's out and all these behind-the-scenes things have come out for shows, the mocaps and all of that, that they have done it and they're wearing that damn backpack.
And what does an audition look like for such a thing? Because of course the voice is integral, and then of course the movement. Surely you've had the mocap experience from iRobot. I mean,
Right.
Did he say, "Hey, come on over, grab a suit"? And I mean, how do they get a sense of what you can do? Do they just?
Well, you did a practice session.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have the job then. No, I don't know. That's like, it was a practice session. They're still looking at me like, they might dump this guy. No, I got it. They didn't know how I moved. I mean, I guess.
But that's wonderful. I mean, obviously they know you can because you've done it so successfully.
I have moved in the past.
You're a mocap master.
Oh yes,
Indeed.
Sunday and iRobot, and
That's right.
and yeah, I did practice. We got the boots were made of stilts. They were snow ski boots, and then there were prosthetic legs and feet on the bottom. And the first ones were done. They were really heavy, and did some practice running around in a low-ceiling room in Santa Monica.
Oh dear.
It's kind of, you know, like part of it was, you know, not. I could still stand up, but it was. I remember being close. And then we went out to go buy more ski boots in the summertime. It was a slow process, but we got there. And yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly you nailed it, so thank goodness for that, right? And you've become quite stable in Disney animated films, and we have a little clip here that we want to show everyone. Take a look at this.
Duke of Weaselton.
Weaselton? Duke of Weaselton, Your Majesty.
What were you gonna do with those 9 hours, Weaselton?
It's Weaselton. Duke Weaselton. And I ain't talking rabbit. And there's nothing you can do to make me.
I want your microbots at Kraytech.
Shut up.
Hey, hey.
Brilliant. And now, we were just curious, what would it sound like if King Candy were K2SO?
Yes. Did you know that wasn't me? No, yeah, I was on the ship. Oh, I was bored, and I didn't want to. And I knew you needed my help. There's a lot of explosions for people trying to blend in.
And what if Duke Weaselton were Alistair?
These I don't know, these microbots, I'm interested in buying them. Yeah, something along those lines.
That works. Now, and do you have a favorite role that you've played so far? I mean,
In the animation world?
Yes.
Hei Hei's pretty cool.
Right?
Hei Hei,
How did you emotionally prepare?
Yeah,
did you go to a barnyard and
I
study
lived-
the movement?
I lived with
sense
chickens.
memory? Oh, okay.
3 weeks.
Very good.
3 weeks in one hen house.
Oh, what's that like?
I made some very close friends, which I connections that I will never forget.
What about smart Hei Hei and dumb Hei Hei?
Oh yeah, they started out with he was smart. He was a tough guy, and I only heard about this after the fact. And then they were going to get rid of Hei Hei altogether, and the animators were really sad to hear that he was going to go away. And so I believe it was John Lasseter who went out of town, and they said, "All right, this is our last shot to save Hei Hei." And somebody had an idea to just dumb him down. And then there was they had him on an animation, I guess it was a program where it was a sliding thing where they could just take it and go from 1 to 10 and smart to stupid. And it starts out like that, and then you go down and they're like, "That's Hei Hei, call Alan Tudyk." That's the one for him.
We are so glad that they did call you. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Tudyk.
Thank you.
Guys, I don't know if you've heard of this little thing called episode 8.
Yeah!
The last one? I don't know. Well, we may or may not have the trailer. Do we have that clip? Why don't we take a look at that clip? Over and over and over. Christmas this year, right? Yep, seeing that about 1 million times. Absolutely. Well, that is our show for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Alan Tudyk and John Knoll.